Awesome. Let's get this game started in 3, 2, 1, go. So welcome back everyone to the TL Open, the map making contest edition, all for $2,000 of a prize pool sponsored by TLAF. So big thanks to the Little App Factory for that, adding a lot of prestige here. And that's really important, when we're looking at new maps, Chill. We often, see tournaments just kind of reusing the same old Blizzard maps from back in the day, and it's really, really exciting to see tournaments start to use these new or refreshing maps. Without any further ado, though, let's introduce these players. In the bottom left corner, we have MVPNoblesse as our red Terran. Of course, his opponent in the top right, unfortunately down 0-1, is TSL.Alive as our purple Terran. So slight color changes there, not a big deal. And I don't know, man, you think on this map, you think we're going to be seeing some early expand builds, or you think it's just going to be some more barracks gas, early factory play?
I think if I was playing, this map looks so large, the rush distance is long, it's a 4-player map, so I would feel very, very comfortable taking even a gasless expansion here in a TVT. We can see they spawn cross positions, but it's important to note that all spawning locations are enabled on this map. And I just want to expound a little bit on what you said about how important it is to get new maps into the scene. One of the problems that map makers often cite is that, you need help. You need the best players playing your map to realize if they're balanced or not for competitive play. And, these players are busy trying to make a living, so it's not easy to get some guy, except maybe Liquid Chef because he's the nicest guy in the world. But these guys are not going to take time out of their day to play on the map. So to get $2,000 into this prize pool, so we can get some, nice data, nice replay packs back to these map makers, and then build a case for why one or all of these maps should be added to the map pool. It's very nice to see, and that's why I always love any sort of support for the map making community.
Yeah, it's phenomenal, and look at what we already end up seeing. We do see a bit of a disparity between these two players. We are going to see the gas opening from, or barracks into gas opening from Noblesse, but as you were saying, you'd feel comfortable going for a gasless expand. Well, so does Alive. No gas coming out from him, so we will be dropping down that command center very, very early on, unless we see something silly like a 4 racks all in. But I don't expect to see that. There's the command center. He's about to put it down. And there it is in the main. So just being very, very safe. Doesn't want to drop it at the natural. Doesn't want his opponent to scout it out. So with the Marine on the ramp, he will be able to completely deny Noblesse. And since Noblesse has not gotten into Alive's base yet, Noblesse is going to have no clue whether gas is actually up or not from his opponent. So it's going to be really hard for him to choose a build to counter it wisely.
Yeah, absolutely. And the scouting distance on this map is just so long. I mean, Noblesse sent this scout out fairly early, and it's just now arriving. Going to see that it's fully walled off, and there's a Marine out, and that pretty much means that anything could be going on right in there. We see TSL.Alive is sending his SCV to follow suit. Let's see what Noblesse is up to. He's got the reactor going on, he's got the factory coming up, and only a single geyser up thus far, so see how he follows up with that. One interesting thing that Noblesse did at the early game is brought his SCV out, just touched the Xel'Naga watchtower, and then continued to scout afterwards. I'm not sure why he did that. It would be fairly bold if someone proxied in vision of that tower.
Yeah, I guess, that would be what it would search for. I mean, if people were going to proxy, right in this one of the map, since it is a 4-player map. I guess it's one of those things that's, it's like no one's ever going to do it, but then the 0.1% of the time when you happen to find someone, you're like, yes, I win the game! But, probably not going to actually end up affecting what we see here. Since neither player's going for the proxy, we're just going to see that a macro game. Factory coming up very quickly from Alive. He did go for the very fast double refinery transition after that first barracks after he got his command center. So he really knows how strong tanks are going to be on this map. He's going to get those up as quickly as possible. And look at that, a starport going down after the expansion here for Noblesse. Do you think he's going to be using this to drop those Hellions in the main base, or do you think we might see some type of strange mid-game Banshee shenanigans?
I think he's just going to use it defensively and for potential defenses. So I think he wants to have it up in case Banshee's flying to his main base. He needs to get a Viking out to defend, because it doesn't seem like he's got his mind focused on aggression. He's got those Hellions out for map control. They're not being aggressive. They're just sitting at the Xel'Naga watchtower. And he's got an expansion up, so I don't think this is going to be anything overly eager, but he does have that tech lab on the barracks, so let's see if he lifts that up. Yes, he is going to lift it up. So maybe it'll be a Banshee transition, as you mentioned.
Well, yeah, it does look like that is going to be what he's going for. Oh, no, well, he's going for the Viking first. Huh. Interesting that he put it onto the tech lab and then got the Viking. I'm really curious if he got any scouting information, but it doesn't look like he did. He still hasn't even seen anything in the main base of Alive. He hasn't seen that bunker either, but he's going to poke up with those Hellions. And when he sees that bunker, he'll probably, just stick with that Viking decision. Right. Be like, okay, you have a bunker. You might be going Cloak Banshee. You might be doing something like that. Thus, I'm going to get that Viking. But there's a scan. A nice scan. Sees absolutely everything. Now Noblesse knows, no, it was actually an early expansion from his opponent. And do we see him? No, he did not cancel the Viking. He still has the Viking. But wow, look at that cloak going down right now from Noblesse. A mid-game cloak transition after an expansion, since he knows that Alive, went for the early expand and is going to be double muling to try to get his SCVs out, and might not have that detection ready to go.
The interesting thing here that's actually kind of doubled backed and worked in Alive's favor is that he dropped a scan on Noblesse's main base, and he saw the starport attached to the tech lab. He saw that something was making, but that something was a Viking. So assuming it was a Banshee, he started making a Viking of his own. But now, Noblesse has kind of played into his hand and continued to make Banshees. So kind of some back and forth here that's been interesting with their, misinformation actually turning into real information. Now we see TSL.Alive has his Viking out on patrol, trying to catch the Banshee that won't be there soon, but it is coming. Of course, he went for the Viking first, so it'll be a little bit delayed compared to what Alive is expecting. Both players... Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So safe. Alive just now taking his natural. I'm surprised it took him so long to get there. We see the player who took it second actually has it landed first, and that's Noblesse.
I find this comical, man. They're actually both going for Cloak at the same time. So we're going to have Cloak Banshees against Cloak Banshees. I can't wait to see who's going to be more effective here. They both have a single Viking. Will that be enough? Neither one of them has really invested in detection, but having scouted the starports of each other, it's possible to see a Raven come out from either player here. That's going to be the question. I mean, if no one makes a Raven, we're going to see a ton of SCVs go down pretty soon.
Oh, and the Banshee actually, from Noblesse, actually flew into the Viking of Alive, but then cloaked and just kept on going. Looks like TSL.Alive has now got it under control. Bring the Viking back, scan goes off, and that's going to be sniped down almost immediately. So good eye there. He let it slip by, but he dealt with it in the end. So no big deal. Meanwhile, the Banshee of TSL.Alive cloak now just completing as he flies down to the bottom right corner and continues to move in. But there's a Viking just sitting over that lava pit waiting to greet him.
Yeah, that's going to be tough to deal with. We'll have to see, will he move into position south of that Viking so won't get those attacks off. And at the same time, I'm just looking at Noblesse's base. I don't know if he's going to have what it takes to deal with this. He's been dropping all of his energy. He does have enough for one scan right now. Will he drop that as a mule or not? That's going to be the question here. He doesn't have a Raven. Just continuing to produce those Banshees for now, and one Banshee actually going into the natural of Alive right now. Alive looks like he has Marines and a Viking in position, but no actual scans available. He's dropping a turret. Meanwhile, the Cloak Banshee from Alive is actually in Noblesse's base, getting quite a few SCV kills right now. Wow. Noblesse not actually responding at all. His Viking is still AFK.
Yeah, he's got enough for a scan. His Viking is sitting there. Is he looking somewhere microing? I'm not sure what is going on, and now forced to run all his SCVs. That's going to be painful for him as he loses that economy, loses all the SCVs, loses the mining time. He's actually losing SCVs that are building depots, so that's going to delay the mid-game for him. And does he know he has a Viking? I don't think he does.
Yeah, I think he forgot about that, actually. I was taking a look at his vision there, and it's not like he was going around microing something. He had full vision. He was seeing, okay, here are the Banshees. He's trying to pull his Marines away. I think he forgot about that Viking, man, and that's a huge mistake. Now we see a Raven just being started. There's a scan, but he can't even kill either one of the Banshees. Both of them going to escape here. Oh my god, that is so terrible for Noblesse. The Raven still has quite a long time to go, and this is just giving so much of an advantage to Alive.
Second scan going off, and if had he brought that second Viking over, he would have been able to do so much more in dealing with those Banshees as they were grouped together. May have been able to snipe them off with 2 scans, but as it was, I believe it took 3 scans there for Noblesse to be able to deal with that. So when the ashes are cleared, we have 62 supply for Noblesse and 86 for TSL.Alive. TSL.Alive looking like he's very well set up, and you can take a look at the players' main bases and tell that TSL.Alive is just doing his thing. His buildings are nicely spaced, his depots are nicely spaced, he's got a Raven out defensive, he's got a bunker out in front of his orbital at his natural. Nothing's really thrown him off his game. Meanwhile, Noblesse's base was in shambles with all those SCVs being pulled. He's actually had to drop an additional call down supplies on one of those depots to avoid being supply blocked. Just not in a good mindset right now after being harassed by that Banshee.
Not at all, man. It's not just that we have Alive ahead on food. He's so ahead on the harvesters right now. It's 50 harvesters to 32 in favor of Alive. So, essentially a 20 harvester difference. It's just giving Alive a huge advantage right now. He has control of all 4 Zanaga watchtowers, although one was just taken by Noblesse. So, with full map control and that economic advantage, I don't know what Noblesse is going to be able to do to get back into this game.
That's a key point on this map. Look how much vision you get when you control all 4 watchtowers. Yeah, there is a way you can sneak around the outside to bypass that, but damn, you just see everything.
You absolutely can, man. It gives you such a big advantage when you can have that security. You know your opponent's not moving down the ramp. You know exactly where their army is if they do start moving out towards the center of the map. And look how confident Alive is. Just dropping a third base. He's like, whatever, I know I'm ahead. I know I'm ahead on economy. And I know you can't really move out because you're going mech. You know, he saw those Blue Flame Hellions. He saw the siege tanks with his Banshees. He knows his opponent is going for mech. So he realizes his opponent, with that lack of mobility and the you know, deteriorating economy, or maybe not deteriorating actively, but you know, past you know, that really hurt economy, he's just allowed himself to have that security to not only move out and be aggressive himself, but also take an expansion behind it. And that is exactly the play I like to see in this type of situation.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And not only that, he's controlling the Zelnaga watchtowers yet again. He's got Marauders now so that he can't be sniped by those roaming Hellions. And that gives him so much freedom to move around and know that his opponent isn't out on the map. He's just sitting at his natural, and you feel so much comfortable when you eliminate all the possibilities where your opponent could be. Taking a look at the food count, 140 for TSL.Alive now, 101 for Noblesse. Upgrades 0-0 for Noblesse, nothing on the way. Meanwhile, TSL.Alive has +1 attack. Is he upgrading yet again? Yes, he's getting +1 armor and just pushing farther and farther ahead. I think, you know, oh, we've got a whoa, big drop.
Beautifully executed drop, actually. He even got in all of the units out of the Vikings, or excuse me, all the units out of the medevacs without dying to the Vikings. He did lose the medevacs, of course, and the drop actually didn't do that much damage. But that was just some pretty nice control there by Alive. Unfortunately, it did end up essentially throwing away a bunch of units. So nice defense by Noblesse. He had his units in position, had those Vikings there, and even dropped a point defense drone to avoid losing any tanks to those Marauders.
Yeah, you know, I think Noblesse really has to turtle and play that 200 game. He's got to know he's behind in income, he's behind in food, and if he tries to engage any time in, you know, the next 5 minutes, it's probably not going to be a good look for him. He can push out and grab a third, but he's got to be very... Well, that's a lot of tanks, actually. How many tanks is that? 11 tanks moving out with a bunch of blue flames, and he's got the benefit of those repairing SCVs moving out. So he wants to take a position on the map. I'm hoping, for Noblesse's sake, that he's not trying to do an attack here and he's just trying to control space, but we'll see what's on his mind.
Yeah, it looks like he is trying to maybe move out for an attack. I know he's got to be careful, as you said, but it looks like Alive moving into position over here with a lot of Marines, so it might force a siege here for Noblesse. Looks like Alive just kind of poking around. He doesn't want to actually engage. Scans go down on both armies, so both players are completely aware of what's going on. We even see a fourth command center on the way, while we see a drop, not a drop, but an auto turret placement here from that Raven of Alive. Great play to be able to pick off some of these SCVs. That is so cute, and he's taking fourth base behind it. I mean, what is Alive doing wrong right now? There's basically nothing. He even has 2-2 on the way. He's just doing everything I love to see him do.
This is an extremely frustrating situation for Noblesse. He wants to commit to an attack, but TSL.Alive's army composition is just so much more mobile, and he's already shown that he's capable of doing the counterattack, and being annoying with that Raven just reinforces that fact. So if Noblesse doesn't get out on the map soon, then he's going to run out of options. But if he pushes too far and gets counterattacked, then he'll just throw the game away very quickly. We can see he's sieging up, trying to isolate the army of TSL.Alive. TSL.Alive going to eat one tank shot there as he continues to pass by. And is he actually going to counterattack or cut off reinforcements? Getting a nice skim and trying to push forward to deal with these tanks. Going to get a lot of tanks here and a lot of Blue Flame Hellions, but the tanks are sieging up, going to start to rain down on TSL.Alive's army as he moves forward. The Vikings going to actually land and try to pick off the stray units. And that was a nice engagement for Noblesse, but I don't think it's going to hurt TSL.Alive all that much.
Yeah, he tried to pick off a couple of those reinforcement tanks, but a great point defense drone went down for Noblesse that did keep those tanks alive. Killed off a couple of Marauders, but it's still probably not going to be enough, as 2-2 a little bit over halfway done. So Alive just trying to delay right now, trying to be as mobile as possible, threaten those counterattacks, and force Noblesse constantly to siege, unsiege, siege, unsiege, move very, very slowly throughout the map. And if he can do that, and he can get +2-2 done, that's going to give a huge advantage to Alive here, considering Noblesse has not been getting any upgrades of his own. He's at 0-0 for his mech. So Alive, he's got to be careful though, since he doesn't have that air dominance. He doesn't have that many medevacs, so his army, every time he stims, it is really, really hurting him. But he's just doing a great job with split up small groups of units, just continuously forcing these sieges from Noblesse.
Yeah, I think Noblesse is now trying to end the game in the next few minutes. As we take a look, he's not even expanding, and I don't think he has any plans to expand as he continues to push up through the middle, sieging up and getting control of this last Zelnaga watchtower at the top right. He's going to have to do something or get an expansion going, or else, the game is just going to get farther and farther away from his hands. We've now got a big siege and a big stim as he tries to move forward. TSL.Alive trying to break this. This may have been a misstep, but there's a lot of Marauders and Marines in here trying to take down all the tanks, trying to go to work and clean up the game. No, he's forced back, but a very, very good trade there for TSL.Alive.
Absolutely. It may have looked like he lost a lot more of the army than Noblesse did, but he can absolutely afford to rebuild those units. He does have the extra bases. The problem is, it looks like Noblesse, so smart, moving straight into the natural, not going to go for the expansions. This is absolutely the correct move because these units are just, barely streaming out here from Alive, but there aren't that many tanks from Noblesse. He's just sieging up at the last moment. It looks like Alive will be able to clean this up. Thanks to those 2-2 upgrades, was able to win this engagement, and now Noblesse left with pretty much nothing. 67 food against the 120 from Alive, and Alive is on 4 bases against the 2 bases of Noblesse.
Yeah, and you can see his feeble reaction is to throw it in a command center, saying like, well, that didn't work, I guess I have to expand, but it's just not going to work. The reinforcements coming out for Noblesse are not going to allow him to live much more into this game. We can see the food count is 133 for Alive, 75 for Noblesse. He'll be able to siege up and live a little bit, but when it comes down to it, Alive just has complete map control, and he'll be able to take this game whenever he so chooses to be, which I believe will be very soon.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that we don't see 3-3 on the way just signifies to me that he does want to end the game immediately. Otherwise, we'd see him get that 3-3, continue on into the late game. As he gets that 4th base, he did transfer a lot of SCVs over there, so he still has continuation potential if his attack, just miserably fails somehow, like with some really great defensive tank positioning from Noblesse, something like that. But, I'm actually shocked that Noblesse didn't even try to use like that ledge above the 3rd, with his tanks, with his air dominance, could have brought some medevacs in there. But he's just kind of going for these brute force attacks, and when you're down on food, you're down on economy, to go for brute force attacks, now usually going to be a good idea. But we see the attack coming forward from Alive. He's moving forward with a ton of his infantry, moving forward to try to snipe off these tanks. It looks like every single tank is going to go down, and now it's basically almost 3 times the amount of food of Noblesse is in Alive's army right now. Pretty ridiculous. And while Noblesse might be able to defend with some defensive positioning at his natural a little bit longer, it's not going to matter. There's the GG thrown out. Noblesse knew he was just way too far behind, especially with that 4th base up for Alive.
Very, very clean play by Alive. I like that. I don't think it was even risky, but I like that gasless expansion. He played it very safely, transitioned into the Vikings very quickly. I'm a little bit unsure, I guess, or uncomfortable with the Banshee transition both of them had in the mid game, but really worked out for Alive there. Not so much for Noblesse, but that's the power when you don't proxy, man. Alive, what a baller.
Yeah, man, indeed. And since he did not go for that proxy, went for the standard game in the second game, that means we're even up to 1-1. We'll be moving into game 3, which I believe is going to be on ESV Sanctuary. So that should be pretty cool. I've seen a couple games on that map so far. And it's actually a 3-player map, rotational symmetry. So in TVT, it can be really, really stressful and difficult in the late game when you end up trying to go for some type of split map scenario, and you just end up both fighting over that 3rd base. We've seen that type of a situation happen time and time again on maps like Test Bug.
I'm taking a look. Looks like there's a lot of paths yet again to control, but this map, Sanctuary, as opposed to, what was our last map? Burning Altar. Sanctuary looks like it's a little bit easier to control space. I mean, if you control these 2 bridges that are coming out of your natural area, your opponent can get around, but he's got to go through these kind of side pocket expansions, which isn't the ideal pushing path. So I think Mac will have a better chance here. I think Mac was just absolutely the wrong choice on an open map with so many paths like Burning Altar. I think it could do, or if it was going to do well, I think it would have a better chance here on Sanctuary.
I completely agree with you, especially when you're behind on food. It's like, with infantry, at least you can pull off some shenanigans with drops and kind of get yourself back into the game, based on mistakes from your opponent that you can force, by really limiting their multitasking. But, when you go for mech in that type of a situation, and you don't even go for like Blue Flame Hellion drops or tank drops or anything like that, and you just go for this kind of straight up, I'm going to move forward slowly, slow push with this huge army. Unfortunately, that doesn't end up working well, not only on that map, but also, like, when you're behind on food. That's something that you do when you know that you're ahead. You can really secure the victory with some mech play, assuming you don't, make some type of mistake, like unsiege all of your siege tanks. But I do agree with you. On this map, I think mech will be a lot easier to accomplish. So if Noblesse wants to get back into this series and go on to the finals, it definitely might, wouldn't be a bad choice on this map, assuming he can get into the mid game on an even footing. That's the problem we've seen in that both these games so far, the losing player has basically just, I don't want to say lost the game from the beginning, but has gotten themselves so far behind very early on.
That is absolutely true, and this map looks decidedly smaller than the map we just saw. I'm getting a little bit claustrophobic and looking at the potential of going from your natural to your 3rd to your 4th. Looks like a lot of space can be controlled by tanks. So let's see what Noblesse actually chooses to do here, if he's going to go into mech or go into infantry. If you are ready, Orb, my friend.
Let's do it.